Welcome to MoCo's Most Famous Podcast. My name is Joe Yasharoff. I'm the Director of Content at Montgomery Community Media, and today we have a very special guest, a very happy special guest, John Kelley, head coach of Quince Orchard football. John, you just won your second straight state title. You look like a man who just won a second straight title. How does it feel?
No, obviously it feels good. A lot goes into it, an awful lot. I've been telling people a lot lately that it turns from June to December really, really fast, around here. So, it's like those months just kind of go by super fast, right? Because you're just constantly busy, trying to get things in place and get your team ready to play, right? So obviously you can end it on a high note of the state championship. It's always, it's a great thing.
Yeah, coaches don't like to relax a whole lot. That's the successful ones, and that's what makes you guys successful. So have you been able to just kind of let go and celebrate and relax and just said, wow, we did it again?
Yeah, now this weekend was definitely good. Got some time to spent a lot of time with my family this weekend, kind of relaxing. But I think it'll be actually the month of December, honestly, is good, right? Because the season kind of ended. So like you're saying, kind of that downtime, a lot of that happens now, we're kind of, I get the kids off. The kids will get 3 or 4 weeks off. We won't get back with them until after we get back from New Year's. And so it's a time to just kind of decompress a little bit. And kind of like you said, because a lot of time during the season, you're holding on so tight, you really are, at least I know I do, where it's just, so you got to kind of, step back and, like you said, decompress.
So every player is different, every game is different, every season is different. So how would you describe this season as compared to some of the others? And you won championships before, not only last year, but how would you describe this team and this season?
With me, obviously coming to the season, there's some pretty high expectations, so, coming into the year, obviously, winning it last year. And, again, there was a lot of expectations, from outside of our program, for what we're going to do. So the kids see that, right. And the coaches see it. So, but I think, for the most part, again, the kids, they every week in and week out, I kind of think our season 2 kind of started out here, maybe kind of dipped a little bit, and then we kind of peaked back up again, right at the right time. And I think but that's, to be honest, that's healthy and that's natural, right? Like,
sure.
Think about, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, like being able, it's hard enough for adults to focus for 14 weeks, right? So you're talking about kids. So it's almost good you have a little lull, right? Because that allows you to kind of step back and, re-energize yourself. And then when it's ready to push again for those couple weeks, you can do that. Because we had some tough games early in the season, played some good football teams, so, and then we kind of, step back a little bit. And then once the playoffs kind of started, we geared back up again.
This might be a goofy question, but does it help to have kids to deal? Now, your kids are younger, but does it help to be a father and to have kids to kind of deal with older kids who are your players?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely does a little bit, I mean, I've always thought that, I'm a pretty good communicator to be able to kind of deal with, because there's so many different personalities, right? And you got to be able to deal with all these different personalities. So, and you can't treat every personality the same. So it's important to be able to know how to deal with all those different personalities. And It helps having, little kids, because obviously little kids, man, like my kids, they got some different personalities too.
Now, you touched on this a minute ago about expectations. Can you describe to people what it's like? That's maybe the hardest thing in sports and maybe in life, to have high expectations. I'll give you just only one example. There are a lot of them in sports. Michaela Schifrin, the downhill skier in the Olympics. Not only was she expected to win, I think, 3 golds, it was just assumed she was the darling, the face of the Olympics, of U.S. Olympic team. And then she didn't win any, and she didn't finish races. So while the expectation may be there, it's not automatic. So can you explain how you kind of deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's hard at times. It is. I mean, especially in your personality, right? So I think a lot of it depends on your personality. So, for me, I'm a people pleaser, right? I am. So if there's high expectations, I want to try to meet those expectations. And then for myself, just being super, super competitive. So then that, so they can weigh on you more, I think, a person like me because of that. Whereas if you're someone who, like you're maybe more a little bit step back, or maybe the expectations won't kind of get to you as much because of your personality, but it's really all how, again, too, how you perceive and kind of how you manage
Sure.
it. Obviously it's a lot, but sometimes it makes you even, strive for more, really, because you want to achieve those things, right? And you're not always forced. It doesn't always happen that way. I mean, we've had expectations before and it didn't happen. But you want to strive as much as you can to meet those expectations. But that being said, kind of like I told you earlier, sometimes you hold on so tight. Like you're holding on so tight to make sure you do those things, like making sure everything is done the right way. Like it's never ending, especially for football. Football is the one sport where, man, you can bounce your head off a wall 1,000 times for something that's pretty simple, to try to figure it out. So
in terms of the expectations, so you don't make it easy on yourself or your team when you blow out teams and you make it look easy. Obviously, it's not easy, but from the outside, for people who don't know, it looks like, oh, they're just beating everybody. It's a cakewalk. So how do you explain to people that it may look like it, but it's not?
Yeah, that's correct. That's definitely correct. That's when you kind of get yourself into a false sense of security, right? I mean, if you're doing that and you're not looking at yourself and still critiquing what you're doing wrong, because I don't care if you win a game 70-0 or you win a game 3-0. There's
Right.
always things to critique, and there's things you can do to get better. And we talk about the other team a lot. Get better. Did you get better today? Right, on the practice field. Like if you're not, you can't just be out there just to practice. So even when you are beating teams, handedly, you still have to get better, right? Because the teams you're playing coming up, they're going to be a lot better. You're not getting yourself into a position where you're a better player, we're a better team. We won't be successful when you start playing the teams that we got to play.
You said you're a people pleaser. Does that mean you're a player's coach? Would you call yourself, or not?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I've heard many people say that before, so I think you could say that.
What kind of things do you consider? I mean, you talked about some just details and things like and getting better. Give us one other thing that you really consider important as a coach, part of your philosophy that makes you so successful.
I think one of the most important things is communication between you and the players.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also a pretty honest guy. Like honesty, I think, is important, but sometimes that honesty is not what people want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes both ways, right? Where, I'm going to be brutally honest with the kids. And again, that might be something they don't want to hear, but sometimes, a lot of times, it is something they do want to hear. So it kind of goes both ways, and not giving anybody a false sense of security, and kind of letting them know how it is, right? I mean, we don't got to sugarcoat it. We don't got to just this is what it is, right? Whether you don't like it or not, if you don't like it, that's fine. Let's find a way to fix it, right? But I think communication goes a long way in that, and you'll solve a lot of problems with communicating, and everybody knows where they stand.
So the word fan is short for fanatic. You've got a lot of fans, and how do you explain to them that these are kids, which you've talked about? In college, they're still kids, but they're older kids. But in high school, they're really kids. And so if they happen to lose a game or make a bad mistake or something, is it important for you to convey to people that these are just kids?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you kind of touched on something too. Kyle, I've been fortunate to coach college football.
Yeah.
So I kind of know what that's like. Where college football, I mean, coaches are feeding their families off the decisions that the kids are making.
Right.
Right. For us, high school coaches, I'm not feeding my family off of these kids. So that's where it's a little bit different, whereas, I can be a little more lenient, right? Because my job, I feel like, is for them to learn from their mistakes, right? Learn from, whether it's on the field stuff or whatever. I think it's important that the kids see how to fix a mistake because they're young. They don't know any difference. I think about things I did when I was 16. Oh my gosh. Right. I mean, so it's important that us as adults kind of show them that, because when you move on from here to college, they don't care. Right. I mean, they'll move on to the next guy in a second. So again, kind of like you're saying, it's very important that people do understand these are kids. Kids make mistakes all the time.
So you've been part of Montgomery County high school football for over 25 years. You were part of a big part of two of the great Seneca Valley teams, two of the greatest, one of the greatest programs in the history of Montgomery County. You've been doing this for 25 years. What is, obviously Friday Night Lights has been a big part of your life. Can you kind of describe on just how big a part that has played in your life?
Yeah, no, a huge part. Obviously just, there hasn't been too many falls, especially when it gets to August, that I'm not, doing football. It's a huge, huge, huge part of my life. But at the same time, I've heard people say that you don't want, I'm also a dad, I'm also a teacher. So there's other things that kind of go into that. But
Sure.
If I didn't say football wasn't a major part of my life, a huge part of my life, I'd be lying. So kind of like you said, I don't think I've missed a fall since I was probably 8 years old.
Wow.
As far as being involved in football, whether it's playing or coaching, in some capacity.
What about playing at the Cougar Dome? It's not really a dome, but it's called the Cougar Dome. It feels like a dome. It's very loud, very red. You got some great fans, including Gaithersburg Mayor Judd Ashman, who's always there tweeting and recording the games. How about the experience of playing at the Cougar Dome and what you've helped create?
Yeah, no, like you say, it's unbelievable, right? I mean, that kind of goes along to the expectations. Like all these people are coming out to watch you and to watch the team, and so you want to make sure that the team is prepared, everybody's ready to go, right? That's I'm not doing my job or doing a disservice to not put on have things ready to go, right? Just to put it simply.
Yeah.
But no, it's awesome. It's unbelievable. It's one of the best places in the state to watch the game. It's funny. I was actually in the grocery store the other day. I live right behind the school. And I'm like walking. I hear these two gentlemen, older, not too much, older gentlemen talking, but they were talking about our game, the state championship game, and how they're at the game. And I guarantee they didn't have any kids that go to our school, right? Or kids that are on the team, but just like kind of like that sense of community, right? That, a lot of people here in the Gaithersburg area, they're alive at our games. They've been doing it for years, years and years, and much longer than I've been here. That's special. You don't find that very often, and I want to try to hold on to that as long as we can.
Yeah, that's very cool that you got to be kind of a fly on the wall to hear those guys. So clearly it's bigger than football. It's bigger than sports. It's community and beyond. It's kind of the place to go. If you're in Gaithersburg, you go, if you guys are at home, you go to the Cougar Dome. So that's a really cool thing to be a part of. All right, a couple of your former players I wanted to ask you about. I'm sure that you keep close track. Let's start with Johnny Hodges, who wasn't wanted by a lot of colleges, if any. He ended up at Navy, played in lacrosse, then he moved to play football, then he transferred to TCU, and now he's in the Final Four. Tell us about Johnny Hodges and kind of what you think of what he's done with his career.
Yeah, no, I'm super happy for him. When he was here, he's one of the all-time greats. Here at QO, obviously. He was always super competitive. Great athlete. So I'm not surprised at his success. He has really, really strong just drive and like determination. And it was obviously him, he was coming out. I was definitely surprised he didn't get, some more things, right? And it ain't like, and it's not like we're striving for a lack of people coming through our doors to recruit kids, so definitely surprised about that. But I knew he would be successful, kind of whatever he did. And when he told me he wanted to kind of switch over and play football at Navy, I was like, down inside, I was like, yeah, pretty happy about that. Yeah, I mean, he's killing it. He's just a great kid, and just super, super happy for him, man.
He's not just playing at TCU. He was Player of the Week, and then he got Newcomer of the Year in the Big 12.
Leading the team, leading the team in tackles, right? I mean, in the Big 12.
Chop Robinson played at
Yep.
went to Maryland, then he transferred to Penn State, and Marquez Cooper.
Yep.
Just again another two. What about those guys?
Yeah, so obviously Damian just super happy for Chop and what he's done. I think he finished up the year as one of the top edge guys, in the country. And again, his first step, man, is just so unbelievably fast. And again with him too, just a great kid, just like Johnny, right? I mean, you're talking about great high character guys that are just, and I think they're both really just getting started. Both of them had great years, but they have more to come. And then you talk about Marquez, what he's done is unbelievable, right? That's a guy that you can't tell no to, man. He's got some of the best drive, that I've ever seen. And that's what's going to carry him, is because he'll work harder than anybody, right? If you tell him no, he's going to work harder than you. He's going to outwork you, and he'll find his way ahead of you on the depth chart, and you couple that with his talent that he has. It's just, that's why he's having all the success he's having.
A classic little guy with a huge heart, right?
Correct.
All right. So with success comes criticism, jealousy. You've heard rumors about why Quince Orchard is so good. How do you deal with that when you overhear here? How do you deal with that? Just curious.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of is what it is, right? I mean, I've had a bunch of people tell me, hey, man, if you want a lot of friends, go 0-10. So, I will say though, a part of it, I hurt, however you want to use the word, but but that's how people want to think. That's fine. I think at the end of the day, I mean, I know how hard I work and how hard my staff works, and how hard our players work to get to the position we're in. And I think when you have success, it's just, there's always going to be people that, kind of want to chime in and, and try to bring you down a little bit, so I try not to get too wrapped up in it, because I know at the end of the day, I mean, and plus people they don't even know me, they've never met me in my life. They don't know who I am. They don't know our players. They don't know our coaches, and what, how we, work with them, and all the love we get. They don't know. So,
Well, thanks for answering that question. Okay, so I think it was a day or two before the championship game. The team visited the elementary school that was right next to the explosion that happened, explosion and fire a few weeks ago.
Yep.
What went into that? And you're getting ready for a big game, but doing that meant a lot to a lot of people.
100%, yeah, no doubt. That's the thing. We want to try to do as much as we can to support, and kind of give back. And I think us going over there, we went over there, and the kids over there, the staff, it was unbelievable just to see the smiles on their face, and like kind of like the joy that they had, just as our guys were kind of walking the hallways, put smiles on everyone's face. And if I could play a small part in doing that, then no matter what the day is, we'll be happy to do it anytime. So I was very excited we had a chance to do that.
If I may say, when I saw that, I thought that is really cool. Very, very cool thing.
Yeah, it was good.
All right, wrapping up here. So the trophy, you've held it before. You held it Saturday. Where does that trophy go? Is that in your house? Is that at the school? Is there more than one trophy?
Yeah, there actually is more than one, but we'll definitely have one here. The original one stays here at school. And we kind of get that. I keep it here in my office a little bit. Actually, it's not here in my office right now. But I think my principal might have it.
You better find out who's got it, Coach.
Yeah. Now we'll find out. We'll find out where it is. We have some other replicas. I keep a couple in my house as well. So, yeah, it's good. It's good.
So when you look at that, just what do you do when you look at that trophy and the other trophies?
Yeah, no, it's just a combination of all the hard work and effort that goes into it, but then at the same time, it's like, we'll take some time off here and then we'll get back after it again, in a couple of weeks and try to put ourselves in position to get another one.
Spoken like a true coach. You enjoy for a minute or two, and then it's on to the next thing, the next game, the next season.
Yep. That's kind of the way it is.
Well, on behalf of everybody at Montgomery Community Media, I want to congratulate you and the team and the school. Tremendous accomplishment, back-to-back 28-0. That's phenomenal. So congratulations.
Joe, I appreciate you having me on, and thank you for having me here and your support. And really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's Coach John Kelley of the 4A state champion Quince Orchard Cougars. And that'll do it for this episode of MoCo's Most Famous. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time.